today's video is the last design for my 31 days of Halloween. Happy Halloween, everybody! And so this one is going to be actually a Day of the Dead or Dia de los Muertos design, since that's tomorrow, so we don't have just like the last Halloween design on Halloween. And so it's an extreme beautiful nail. I'm so proud of how this one turned out. I've got a portrait of a lady all decked out for Dia de los Muertos with a sugar skull painted on her face and this beautiful purple hair and roses and crystals and all of that great stuff, and it just looks like this extreme stiletto from the top. But then if you turn the nail to the side, you can see that I have a spiderweb chain with some roses and some rhinestones on the side view too that kind of drops down on the underside of the nail. So that is just so beautiful. I absolutely love this one. I am, like I said, so proud of it. I haven't sculpted a nail like that since NTNA, so it's been a little while. And don't forget to check out Helen's design. Hers is a bit more simple and a bit more wearable for a Day of the Dead design. And I will see you next time. Bye!
So I'm going to begin by prepping my nail forms, and I am actually going to show you the sculpting of this nail too, so that's a little bit of a bonus. So I've got two nail forms that are layered, so I have extra length, and then I'm going to fold my form, open the back, fit it to the nail, and after I have it and I kind of get an idea of where the very corners of my nail are, I am going to cut out the sides to get an even tighter fit. So kind of pull those out and then refit the form, get it all tightened down, and now I'm going to squeeze a fairly large amount of a pink acrygel onto the nail form and just kind of start working it into the shape. So this first bit of acrygel that I have, I'm just going to try to get the basic shape of my stiletto in place. I'm not worrying as much about structure yet. This one really is just the shape of the stiletto, bringing it down into that nice long point. And then after that's done and cured, I'm going to pop off that nail form, and then I'm going to add a second layer to really build in the apex area. With any nail of this length, I really wanted to have a very strong apex so that the nail looked, it won't look fragile, and it'll have some really nice strength to it. Building in these structures, once you kind of get a feel for it, is super fun though too. So there's a little bit of enjoyment factor there. Then I'm going to use a hand file to file this nail. I would recommend using a hand file for this, for the fact that it's acrygel or polygel, because those file quicker, and with an e-file it's really easy to just file way too much. Plus this nail is so long and so thin that you just get a little bit more control with a hand file. So it's up to you, and if you're an e-file person all the way, go ahead, and I'm not going to stop you. But for me, I thought a hand file was just kind of the way to go there. So now that nail is done, and I love it, guys. I was so proud of it. As soon as I sculpted this nail, I was like showing everybody. I was like, "Look at my nail!" And Terrell looks at me and goes, "No, take it off. You can't just leave that on there." But then I'm going to go ahead and start painting my face, and I'm going to be using gel paints for this. And after I painted this on here, I thought to myself, that was pretty silly. I should have applied some gel base coat first, because the file left a little bit of a scratchy texture to this, and that makes it harder to paint with gel paint especially. And so if you apply some gel base coat before going ahead and doing the painting, it'll just go a little smoother, especially for that first layer of color. So after I have the white base, I'm going to take some gray gel, and I'm going to start kind of finding the different shadows on her face. So her face is painted white, but you don't want to just leave the whole thing white. You want to definitely add some darker values here and there so that you have places for the brighter values. So go through with the gray and the white and blend things out and smooth them out, and constantly look back at your reference photos to make sure that you don't miss anything. There's so many subtleties to a human face as far as, high points and low points, that it's really easy to forget one small detail and have the whole thing just look off. So anytime you're looking at something and you're painting something, you're like, you know what, there's just something not quite right about it. And I've been there. I mean, every time I paint something, I have that moment where, what's wrong with this? How do I fix it? Just go back to your reference photo and pretend you're a detective and figure out what's different. And it may take you a minute to find it. Maybe it'll take you 20 minutes to find it. And maybe it'll take a whole different person looking at it to find it. You never know, what it is, but it might just be something really small, and adding just a little bit of, white here or gray here could make a big difference. After you have that white and gray base done though, you can start filling in some of the, colorful details of your sugar skull. So I surrounded her eyes with a layer of green, and then I added just a little bit of pink to her cheeks and a little bit of pink to her lips. And then with some black gel paint, I'm going to go through and start doing some of the outlining and some of the details on her face. So when you're doing the sugar skull, there's so many different, very classic, iconic, normal patterns that you can use, but there's just a few things that seem to always be in place. So you want to always extend the corners of her mouth out and then bring them up, just like the lines of the teeth. If she was painted like a skull, just like that same line. And then a lot of times you see a spider web across the forehead. So there's just a few of those things that really seem to happen a lot, that if you add those, it makes the design just look so much more classic and recognizable. And then after you have, your basic design in, you can fill in the, areas around it with some swirls and different patterns, and you can really just have fun with it. There's so many different opportunities here for personalizing the design. I'm going to add a little bit more of a shading right there. Like I said, every once in a while you'll look and be like, there's something missing. Well, then you just have to fix it. And the great thing with gel painting is that until you cure it, which, you want to probably cure every time you switch colors or something like that, have a plan in place. But until you cure it, you can wipe the whole layer off and start over with that phase. So you don't have to, feel like you're rushed or on a time crunch or anything. After you have those outlines done for her face, I'm also going to go through and do some of the outlines for her hair. I'm just going to do the very start of her hair with the outlines. I'll do some more of the little detail black lines later, but just kind of get the basic shapes in. And then after I have those done, then, just keep filling them in. But after you have those done, then you can want to do a full cure of this black gel paint before you go through and start adding any of the rest of the color in the design. So I'm going to add the white gel paint for her eyes to fill in her eye color, or to fill in, the base of her eyeball, and then do some little shading, a little bit more shading on her eyes to darken up that green, so it wasn't quite so like grass green, but more of like a rich forest green. And then because I want the majority of this design to be shades of pinks and purples, and in that kind of a color category, I'm going to do the rest of the patterns around her face with just pink. So I've got pink on her chin and the flower on her chin, and then some pinks of various, tones here and there in the different shapes. Add some more details to her eyes. A little bit of gray shading on those as well. Some highlights with a lighter shade of green, just a touch. And you can keep this as simple as you want or go as detailed and realistic as you want. Really, it's easy to get carried away with these types of designs and spend hours and hours painting them, because you can keep doing, like a little touch here and a little touch there, a little bit more shading on this, a little bit more of a highlight on that. And all of a sudden, it's 3 a.m. and you're practically asleep. So add some shading on the spiderweb if you'd like, a little bit more brightness on her lips. And then after you have, a good amount of her face painted, I'm going to start filling in her hair. So her face, I had a lot of those pink tones almost into orange, and then on her hair, I'm going to do purples more to bring in some more of that color. So I'm going to start filling in her hair with just like a single shade of color, and then go back through afterwards and add different tones to it, and use a darker shade of purple because that'll really contrast against the bright white face, instead of trying to do a brighter color of hair. If you start out with a darker shade, it'll just make the face look that much more visible. But then after that, I'm going to take black gel paint again, and I'm going to be adding some shadows and shading on the hair. I also added her pupils. Do some shading definitely along the line of her part, and then cure that. After that's cured, you can add some pink highlights to her hair. If you use a pink that's more like a fuchsia type of a color and you really blend it out, it won't look quite so shocking between the purple and the pink color. It'll look a little bit more like a natural transition. And then do the very highlights of the hair, the brightest highlights, with a nice pale pink. And that will make the hair look like it's got a lot of texture to it, a lot of realism, just with those few couple highlights. It doesn't take too much. A few highlights here and there on her face and her eyes, around her eyes even. A couple little highlights with white on her hair if you want to take the highlights that far. That's kind of an up to you sort of a scenario, how much you want to highlight the hair. But then after you're pretty much happy with your portrait painting, then you can take some more of your pink gel paint, and I'm going to be filling in around her with just 3 roses. And these aren't necessarily realistic roses. They're more of like the artsy style of rose. So I began with just a very base shape, and then with some white gel paint, I'm going to be highlighting the edges of each petal, just kind of finding where they are too, because they're not necessarily blocked in before this point either. So just sort of add just the very tip of each petal, and add a little curly Q in the center of the rose. Like I said, these are more of like an artsy style than realistic. And then add some shading to your roses too. So everywhere one of the rules that I don't always follow, but I try to keep in the back of my mind, is everywhere you add a highlight, you need to add a shadow. So since I highlighted the tips of the petals, you want to add a shade a little bit darker around the bottom. And then I'm going to take it even further and add just a little bit of black in the roses. I want them to be very dramatic looking, as everything with this design pretty much is extremely dramatic. So that little bit of black inside the petals is going to go a long ways, but really that particular step is kind of up to you. If you liked them prior to the black, there's no real reason to add it if, you know, it's personal preference. But then I'm going to fill in some jewelry gel in all the areas of the design that are blank. So after I have that jewelry gel in, then I'm going to grab some matte gel top coat and I'm going to float it over the nail and float it over the jewelry gel. You don't want to like smear the jewelry gel. You want to just kind of, you know, apply the top coat over it without messing it up underneath, and then press an assortment of rhinestones into that jewelry gel that are all in like the pink and purple type of a hue. Maybe some clear ones, possibly some black ones would be nice, but just fill in with those rhinestones and crystals. And then if you don't want to add the chain and the roses underneath the nail, you can call it a done deal right now and you can say, yep, it's good to go. I don't need to add anything else. I'm done. It's cured. I'm ready for, you know, the rest of my day. Or if you want to be a little bit extra and you want to add that beautiful chain, it's actually a lot easier than you may think. So to do that, I'm going to lay my chain on a nail form backing and I'm going to hold it with a little tool and apply some builder gel over the whole chain. Just a thin layer of clear builder gel, and I'm using builder in a bottle to make it even easier yet. And then I'm going to manipulate that chain on the nail form backing to form a V shape. Once that V shape is done and I'm happy with it, I'm going to cure it, and then I'm going to add a second piece of chain in the middle so that I've got the 3 starting lines of my spider web. Same thing, kind of use a tool to help you get the chain nice and straight, and then apply that clear builder gel over the top of it and attach it to the point of the V. Cure it again, and then you're going to need to add the cross pieces of your spider web. So cut 2 or 3 pieces off of the chain and kind of keep track of how long they should be and measure it out beforehand, because they're each going to be a little bit different in length. Smallest towards the tip of it, and then as it gets up towards the top, it'll get wider and wider. So here's the second one, cut that off, and then take some more of the clear builder gel and attach that down. And then just lay it across. Use the help of a tweezers is definitely a beneficial tool in this circumstance. And then I'm going to do the third one, cut that off. And depending on the length of the nail that you sculpted and depending on how big you want your spider web, a different size chain might be helpful, you know, just to be the right look, or even just doing a smaller spider web in general so it just wasn't quite so big. And that could possibly make it a little bit more wearable. I don't really think that this design is really wearable no matter what, but you know, if you want to, I'm not going to stop you. And then apply a layer of gel sealer over the whole spider web to kind of eliminate the tackiness from the builder gel. Once that's cured, you can pop it off, and as you can see, it's really quite solid. And then trim off any extra edges if, you know, the top of your chain is a little too long here or there, and then figure out where it's going to fit underneath the nail the best. And then after you find the right spot for it, you're going to want to take and do more clear builder gel underneath, and then set that little spider web underneath there and cure it. And now we're going to make a pink rose out of 4D gel. And this actually was a lot more difficult than I was anticipating. I'm used to working with acrylic, and for some reason it just was not as easy for me with the 4D gel. So I'm going to just kind of use a little brush and sort of brush them into place. Cure this after that first center bit of the rose, and then after every 3 petals. So I've got 3 petals in place, kind of pull them out a little bit and then cure it, even if it's just for like 30 seconds, just to set it in place enough. And then add the next row of petals going around, and you can keep doing this process of 3 petals until you're happy with the size of your rose. For me, I thought it was pretty good with just the 2 rows of petals, so I have the middle and then 6 petals going around. Once you're happy with the size of it, you can attach your rose onto the chain and then use some clear jewelry gel and just dab it in place here and there along the chain, just to, you know, add some extra rhinestones and some extra glitz and glamour to it. And use just a variety of them, different sizes, different colors. Have fun with it. Just kind of glam it up. And if you don't want to do any of these extra little bits on the underside, you can still just do the chain, or you could just fill it in with a bunch of roses here and there, maybe some rose petals, or, you know, whatever you want. You can make another little skull to stick underneath there. Have fun with it. There's, you know, just so much color and options that you can do with this. And then after that's cured, you're all done, and then you get to see that beautiful reveal. I am so happy with this nail. I love it so much, you guys. I hope you love it as much as I do. And I have another one of these extreme nails coming up for you in a couple of days, so come back for that one. Don't forget to click subscribe to see it, and then also share your creations with me on Facebook and Instagram, and I'll see you next time. Bye.